Hi, it's Mary. Last week, you might remember that we did a He Said, She Said uh, video, and it was well received. So we're going to try doing that again. The subject today is he's in hot water. Actually, Jerry's not in hot water. It's the fact that our hot water heater isn't working, so he's troubleshooting it. I am one of those people that require hot water. I've roughed it before in my life. I've done some mountain climbing. I have done survival training. I have gone river rafting. Yeah, no, I'm beyond that at this point. I want to turn on my faucet and have hot water. So when it broke yesterday or started acting up yesterday, Jerry decided he had to immediately service it. It's a good possibility that we're having minimal problems, and that is because we've done so much traveling. We average towing this trailer 25,000 miles a year, and some of the roads, I mean, think about it. We just came from South Texas oil fields. Some of the roads are horrendous, and all that bumping and all that jostling of the trailer, it isn't surprising if you have to fix a screw on a hinge of a cabinet or you have to tighten up a hose now and then. So right now our problem is our water heater, and Jerry is going to show you how he troubleshoots that. But before we get to that point, I just want to explain to any of our viewers that are new to RVing that a trailer will have a 6-gallon, an 8-gallon, or a 10-gallon hot water tank. My trailer is a few years old, and it has a 6-gallon hot water tank. I dream of the day I'm going to trade it in and get a 10-gallon hot water tank. That's going to seem to me like real luxury. But with a 6-gallon hot water tank, basically you're taking a Navy shower. If you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, a Navy shower, you get into the shower, you turn on the water, you get wet, you turn off the water, you soap up, turn back on the water, and rinse off, and you're out. 3 minutes tops, including washing your hair. Get used to it, ladies. So we do that all the time, and I'm perfectly fine with that. Jerry occasionally goes to the public shower, not very often, and we can get 6 showers out of our holding tank, so that's pretty comfortable. We don't always have to be on a sewer site, and if we choose to go for a week boondocking or without hookups, we can manage if we're careful. You want to, I'm sure you're all familiar with it, but shower heads. If you're having trouble with your shower head, definitely improve, replace it with a better one. This aerates the water, so it feels like I have more water in the shower. And of course, you know how this works. When this is down, the water's coming out. You want to shut the water off for a few minutes. You push it up, and after you soap up, you turn the water back on by pushing it down, and it has kept it at the same temperature that you had. Hopefully, if it all works out right. So this is definitely something you're going to want to replace if you're in an older unit to a more modern one. Going back to the Navy shower, I have a question for you. What does a Marine call it, or a soldier in the Army call it? I can't picture them calling it a Navy shower, but I've never in all my life we've called it a Navy shower. My father wasn't even in the Navy. He was in the Air Corps. But anyways, if you have another term for it, let me know. I want to thank you all for the ones that are new subscribers. We're thrilled we hit our big number of 100 subscribers. Our next goal is 1,000. Crazy, crazy. But that's how YouTube does it. You have to hit 100, and then your next tier you're trying to hit is 1,000. So everybody call 100 of your friends and ask them to subscribe. I appreciate it. We're going to have another video coming out this week because we took the kids on a field trip, a day trip to Massachusetts, and we want to share it with you. But for now, here's Jerry. He's going to tell you about how to troubleshoot the water heater. You guys have a great day. Give us a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't, and hit that little alarm. Thank you.
Good morning. I am still here in Connecticut. a long way from Cotulla, Texas, where it averaged 80 to 90 degrees. Today here is a nice brisk 42. It's been raining continually since we arrived, but it's been good. We've had Easter up here with our kids and our grandkids, so I really can't complain. So my video today is about hot water heaters and the maintenance required, the annual maintenance or semi-annual, depending on how you want to do it. The reason I'm doing it today is that yesterday I had one of those unfortunate events that caused my hot water heater to want some attention. What my wife and I normally do, Mary and I normally do, is at night we turn the hot water off before we go to bed. And first one in the morning gets up, they turn the hot water back on, the hot water heater. And this way gives us our showers in the morning, we do our dishes. So all day we have hot water, but once we go to bed at night or after the supper dishes, we turn it off, save on propane. Well, this morning, or yesterday morning, we got up and clicked on the hot water heater like we normally do. And since we're boondocking in her driveway, we are using our pump and our tanks. So we're not connected to fresh water. So our pump also is seeing as 13 years age and starting to be a little more vocal than many pumps are. So I heard the pump kick on, kick off, kick on, kick off, kick on, stay on, kick off. And I said, man, I got a leak somewhere. So I threw on my shoes, ran outside. The best way to find a leak is look under the trailer and see where the water's pouring out. And lo and behold, it's pouring out of my hot water heater. I said, dang, you know, they're expensive. You buy them online, they're $500-600 give or take. And if you pay somebody to install them, you're probably up to $800 or $900. I do most of the work myself, but here I am up in Connecticut. I really didn't want to work on my hot water heater at 40-degree temperatures. So I turned it off and went outside, drained it, and discovered that the anode had pretty well died out. So what I'm going to do today is talk about the maintenance you should be doing on the trailer, what might have gone wrong with mine. Luckily mine is working again, and I'm not quite sure why, but I'll tell you what you need to look for on hot water heaters. I'm going to position the camera so you're looking at the hot water heater. Now, you're not going to be able to see me too much, but I want you to see the hot water heater, who's the star of the show today, and point some things out. Right here, this is your gas valve. Your gas valve does what it says. It puts your gas in through your tank into your burners. This is your start, your electronic start. This is a electronic ignition hot water heater. In lieu of some of the others are pilot manual. This one is an electronic start. So what's going to happen is that the hot water itself, when you turn the temperature or you turn your hot water switch on and the temperature is low, it's going to, through the hot water sensors, determine that the water needs to be brought up to temperature. So the hot water sensors are going to kick on. This solenoid valve will click open. Your gas will come out. Your starters will start. You'll hear it go click, 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 click. And your furnace should your hot water heater should come on. One of the best ways of troubleshooting a hot water heater is by listening. When you click it on, you'll hear the solenoids distinctly click on, followed by the rapid start of the click, 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 click of your igniters. And at that point, you should have a perfect burn through here. I did take this plate off so you can see it. I'll be putting it back on afterwards. Now, the old manual type, which is the non-electronic start, will have something a little bit different. It'll actually have a thermal coupling on top. So what'll happen is you'll hear the click, 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 click. Gas will turn on. It'll have a pilot instead of the electronic start, and the thermocouple will be on top. The thermocouple will make sure that if the flame burns out, blows out, you run out of propane, it will shut the gas off. Where here you have the electronic start, you don't have that issue. So if you have the old manual style, which is the non-electronic, and you're having issues with it, you should do one of two things, or three things. One is make sure you have gas. Go inside, turn your stove on. If you have propane to the stove at a good high rate, it's got to have a good burn, strong blue, not pale yellow or white, pale yellow or orange. Then you have good propane. Pilot, if you need to light it, it will have a valve here called pilot. Press the pilot valve in. Give it a few seconds, put your igniter on it. I usually use a fire starter wand, and you have to get the thermocouple hot enough that it'll keep the gas valve open. If you take the wand out, your fire out, and it immediately shuts off, chances are it's your thermocouple. If you don't hear the click, it's probably your valve. And remember to make sure you have gas or propane. That's the most important one. So that being said, mine is electronic. It started spitting out through the pressure release valve, continually blowing out, which meant one of two issues. One is my high limit switches are shot, or something caused it to not turn itself off or recognize that it was too warm. So one of the first things I did was, and I borrowed this big socket, is you have something in here called an anode. And I'm going to take my anode out. It should be spitting water. When I did this, like I said, I'm on an external, I'm not on external water, so I didn't have to turn the water off. My wife inside is going to turn the pump off. She heard me, turned it off. That's something I guess I forgot to do. And I do have my my switch turned off, so I'm not in any danger of it turning itself back on when there's no water in it. This thing actually went on, and the propane kicked on, and the burner kicked on, and it was empty. It would probably crack the tank. Okay, so here it is. We're draining it. I'm going to pick up the pressure relief valve, let the water come out at a faster rate. What it's doing now is draining the tank. Now while we're doing this and letting it drain, I also want to recommend that you let it cool off before you do this. Otherwise you're going to have 180 degree or so temperature scolding you right now. So it had been turned off for a while. This is the anode. This is what it's supposed to look like when it's new. What the anode does is, this is a steel tank, and you'll have corrosion inside the steel tank. When it starts corroding, the magnesium anode is supposed to deteriorate to the level of keeping your tank from corroding in itself. Some of these have aluminum tanks. It's not an issue with aluminum tanks as it is with the older steel tanks. So the anode itself is supposed to be replaced at least once a year. I usually do it whenever I see one. They come in a package from the Amazon, to be honest, and it comes two to a package. So I have purchased the two, and I'm replacing it today. So what you're going to end up doing is doing the same thing, putting it back in. I'm going to pause it. You don't need to see me do that. Now the tank is empty. I'm going to be starting to filling it up, but I'm going to look at a few things. What first? One is, remember, it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. I'm making sure I don't over-crank this too tight. It is a 13-year-old unit. I certainly don't want to cause more damage than I have done. I'm going to put the panel back on. I am going to close the pressure release and turn on the spigot inside, the hot water spigot. When I fill it, the pressure release is a little higher level than the outflow for your hot water. One of the things that you need to be aware of is that they suggest every 6 months you open this, take it out. You need air at the top of the hot water tank for it to function properly. As we know, water when it freezes expands. We also know that when water heats, it also expands to the tune of 5 ounces per gallon of water. This is a 6-gallon tank. So as it gets closer to boiling, it will start expanding up to the tune of almost 32 ounces of water, 30 ounces of water. So you need air at the top to it to allow expansion of the water itself. Otherwise, it will blow out the overflow, which is what could have happened. It could have been weeping, and these things weep on a continual basis. So if you come out and you see water dripping, no worries. It does weep. When I originally took this out yesterday, the anode rod, and I took it out, you would have saw a lot of anode components, grits, as it broke off from the anode rod at the bottom of the tank. It blew out when I drained it. I just drained it a second time, so I'm pretty sure it's clear. The only thing you have to do after this is, after I put this together, I fill the tank. Remember, don't turn it on until it's back full of water. I'm going to put this back on. I'm going to go inside and open every single one of my faucets, all my aerators on my faucets, take them off, because you will probably find grit in it after doing this. So the last thing you want to do is take the aerators off all your sinks, rinse them out, put them back on. Don't forget to fill the tank up, Again, I'm not going to use the pressure relief to eliminate the water, the air out of the tank. I'm going to open up the valve in the kitchen and we should be good to go. Again, I don't know if my problem is solved. I did have to replace the anode, which was due. If I have trouble in the future, I'm going to next go after the high limit switch, which meant it let the water boil too high and it blew out the pressure relief. This is Hughes for Outdoor Staycations. Look forward to giving me a thumbs up, subscribe, and safe journeys.